Have you ever felt like you're running on a treadmill that someone else controls? The speed keeps increasing, the incline keeps steepening, and no matter how fast you run, you never actually arrive anywhere new? That subtle sense that your choices aren't really your choices, that your desires were planted in you, that your life is following a script written by invisible hands? What if I told you that feeling isn't paranoia? It's perception. You're sensing the Matrix, not the science fiction movie, but the very real, very sophisticated control system that operates just beyond your conscious awareness. A system designed not with malicious intent, but with a specific purpose: to keep you predictable, manageable, and asleep to your true nature. Most people live their entire lives within the walls of this invisible prison, never realizing the bars are made of thought, the locks are made of belief, and the warden is a version of themselves they've been tricked into believing is real. They chase success that doesn't fulfill them, seek approval from people they don't respect, and accumulate possessions that ultimately possess them, all while wondering why they feel so empty, so restless, so controlled. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. The Matrix doesn't control you through force. It controls you through agreement. And the moment you withdraw your agreement, the entire system loses its power over you. Not through fighting, not through escaping, but through a simple shift so profound, so subtle, that once you make it, you'll wonder how you ever missed it. The Matrix isn't a physical place. It's a psychological construct. A collective agreement about what's real, what's possible, and what it means to be human. And like any good system of control, it's invisible to those who live within it. Think about the patterns of your life. The way you automatically reach for your phone first thing in the morning. The route you drive to work without thinking. The reactions you have to certain triggers, criticism, traffic, stress, that feel automatic, programmed. These aren't random behaviors. They're the architecture of the Matrix showing itself. The system operates through three primary control mechanisms. First, the identity trance. You've been handed an identity like a costume: your nationality, your job title, your social status, your personality traits. You've been told this is who you are. But these are just labels, descriptions, temporary configurations. The Matrix needs you to believe you're the costume, because if you think you're the actor, you might realize you can change roles. When you're identified with your story, you're predictable. When you're awake to your essence, you're uncontrollable. Second, the time illusion. The Matrix keeps you trapped between regret about the past and anxiety about the future. It rarely lets you inhabit the present moment because that's where your true power resides. When you're fully present, the programmed reactions don't work. The triggers lose their power. So it keeps you time traveling in your mind, missing the only moment where freedom is possible. It has you worrying about bills due next month while you're making dinner, or replaying that awkward conversation from yesterday while you're trying to sleep. Third, the thought loop. Your mind is filled with voices that sound like you, but are they really yours? The constant commentary, the judgment, the worry, this is the Matrix's radio station broadcasting directly into your consciousness. Most people never question whether these thoughts are theirs. They assume if it's in their head, it must be true. This is the system's greatest trick, convincing you that your prison is your home. That the walls are just normal walls, the locks are just normal locks, and everyone lives this way. How do you know if the Matrix has been running your life? The symptoms are more familiar than you might realize. That constant background anxiety that something might go wrong? That's the matrix keeping you in a state of low-grade fear, because fearful people are controllable people. The endless comparison with others on social media? That's the matrix ensuring you stay in competition rather than connection. The feeling that you're never quite enough, never quite there yet, never quite fulfilled? That's the matrix dangling carrots just beyond your reach to keep you running on its treadmill. Look at your financial patterns. Are you trapped in cycles of earning and spending that never quite lead to freedom? That's the matrix's economic programming. Examine your relationships. Do you find yourself repeating the same patterns with different people? That's the matrix's relational software running its familiar code. Consider your health, your energy levels, your joy. Are they constantly being compromised for the sake of keeping up, fitting in, meeting expectations? These aren't personal failures. They're systemic features. The most insidious part? The matrix has convinced you that this is normal. That stress is just part of adult life. That exhaustion is just what happens when you work hard. That feeling disconnected from your purpose is just how it is for most people. It has normalized its own control mechanisms so thoroughly that questioning them seems radical, while accepting them seems reasonable. In every control system, there's a flaw, a backdoor, a vulnerability that the designers never anticipated. The matrix's flaw is this. It can only control the content of your experience, but it can never control the context. It can give you thoughts, but it cannot be the thinker. It can create emotions, but it cannot be the feeler. It can present circumstances, but it cannot be the witness. This is the crack. This is where the simple shift begins. Right now, as you watch this video, notice that you're aware of watching. There's the content, the words, the ideas, the information, and there's the context, the awareness itself that's witnessing the watching. The matrix operates entirely in the content. Your freedom awaits in the context. Try this simple experiment. Close your eyes for just 10 seconds and notice the thoughts passing through your mind. Don't try to stop them. Don't follow them. Just notice them as if you're watching clouds pass in the sky. The thoughts are the content. The noticing is the context. And in that space between thought and awareness, the matrix loses its grip. This shift from content to context is the most revolutionary act you can perform. It doesn't require effort. It doesn't require fighting. It simply requires noticing what's always been true. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your circumstances. You are the awareness in which all these things appear and disappear. When you first make this shift, even for a few seconds, you might feel a sense of disorientation. The matrix has so thoroughly convinced you that you are the content that experiencing yourself as the context can feel strange, even frightening at first. This is completely normal. You're essentially waking up from a dream that felt real. The dream characters might seem vivid, the plot might feel compelling, but once you realize you're the dreamer rather than a character in the dream, everything changes. In those first moments of context awareness, you might notice a sense of space opening up around your thoughts, a quiet stillness beneath the mental noise, a subtle detachment from what you previously took so personally, a curious wonder at how seriously you'd been taking the matrix's drama. These aren't small experiences. They're cracks of light appearing under the door of your prison. They're evidence that there's a world beyond the walls you've accepted as reality. The matrix wants you identified with the storm. Your freedom begins when you remember you're the sky. The weather comes and goes, sometimes stormy, sometimes calm, but the sky remains unchanged, untouched by whatever passes through it. If this shift is so simple, why isn't everyone talking about it? Why hasn't it been taught in schools? Why isn't it common knowledge? The answer is uncomfortable but necessary. The matrix depends on your unconscious participation. The entire system, our economic structures, our social hierarchies, our political divisions, relies on people remaining identified with content rather than awake to context. Think about it. A person who knows they're the awareness behind their thoughts doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. They don't need to accumulate possessions to feel valuable. They don't need to seek approval to feel worthy. They don't need to defend their identity because they know it's temporary anyway. Such a person is essentially uncontrollable by the matrix's usual methods. This isn't a conspiracy theory in the traditional sense. There aren't evil people in a dark room plotting to keep humanity asleep. Rather, it's a systemic self-preservation mechanism. The matrix isn't a person, it's a pattern. And patterns strive to maintain themselves. The pattern of control naturally resists anything that might expose its illusory nature. As you begin to explore this shift, don't be surprised if you encounter resistance, both internal and external. Internally, your mind might rebel. It might tell you this is nonsense, that you're just avoiding reality, that you need to be more practical. This is the matrix's last line of defense, using your own thoughts to convince you to stay asleep. Externally, people around you might react strangely. When you stop playing by the matrix's rules, it disrupts the collective trance. Your peace might trigger their anxiety. Your freedom might highlight their bondage. Your authenticity might confront their compromise. This resistance isn't a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're doing something right. The matrix only fights what threatens it. If you weren't touching a real truth, there would be no resistance. Making this shift isn't a one-time event. It's a muscle that needs to be developed. Here's how to begin strengthening it. Throughout your day, create moments of pause. When you feel stressed, triggered, or overwhelmed, simply stop. Take one conscious breath. In that moment, create space between the stimulus and your automatic response. In that space, freedom grows. Set reminders on your phone, not with stressful alarms, but with gentle chimes or vibrations. When the reminder goes off, ask, "Who is aware right now?" Don't try to answer intellectually. Just feel into the question. Feel the presence that's aware of your experience. Use everyday activities as portals to presence. When washing dishes, feel the water. When walking, feel your feet touching the ground. When listening, hear the spaces between words. These simple practices train your brain to notice context rather than just getting lost in content. In the early stages of practicing this shift, you'll notice subtle but significant changes. Problems that once felt overwhelming might start to feel manageable. Not because the problems have changed, but because your relationship to them has changed. When you're the sky instead of the storm, even major challenges become weather patterns passing through. Reactions that used to be automatic might begin to have a moment of choice before them. That person who always triggers you? There might be a split second where you can choose your response rather than being hijacked by your programming. Time might start to feel different. The frantic rushing from past to future might give way to moments of resting in the present. The constant mental time travel that exhausts you might be interrupted by visits to the eternal now. These aren't dramatic, Hollywood-style transformations. They're quiet, subtle shifts. But they're real, and they're evidence that the simple shift is working. As you strengthen this new muscle, the matrix will fight back with sophisticated countermeasures. Recognizing these tactics is crucial to maintaining your freedom. Doubt? Your mind will suddenly be filled with doubts. This is too simple. It's not working. You're just avoiding reality. This is the matrix trying to pull you back into content. Thank the doubts for sharing and return to awareness. Emotional storms. Intense emotions may arise seemingly out of nowhere. Old wounds may resurface. This isn't a sign you're doing it wrong. It's a sign you're doing it right. The matrix is throwing its best weapons at you, hoping you'll identify with the emotion and forget you're the awareness. The "this is selfish" argument. The mind may claim that seeking freedom is selfish when others are suffering. This is perhaps the most insidious attack. The truth is, your freedom is the greatest gift you can offer a suffering world. You cannot help others escape prison if you're still inside. So you've tasted it. That moment of pure awareness where you recognized yourself as the context rather than the content. That split second where the matrix's grip loosened, and you remembered there's a you beyond the programmed reactions. But then, life happened. The boss demanded something unreasonable, the kids started fighting, the bills arrived, and suddenly you found yourself right back in the thick of it, identified with the drama, reacting from the programming. This isn't failure. This is the natural rhythm of awakening. The first taste of freedom is like spotting land after being lost at sea. It gives you direction, but you still have to navigate the waves to reach shore. The initial glimpse of awareness is precious, but fleeting. The real work, the work that truly frees you, is in learning to stabilize in that awareness until it becomes your new normal, your home base, your operating system. Think of yourself as learning to walk on a new planet with different gravity. At first, you'll stumble. You'll forget the new rules and default to old patterns. But with each conscious return to awareness, you strengthen new neural pathways. With each choice to respond from presence rather than react from programming, you rewire your brain. This isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. The matrix controlled you through consistency. It consistently reinforced the same patterns until they became automatic. Your freedom comes from being even more consistent in returning to awareness. You can't learn to stabilize in awareness while being constantly buffeted by the matrix's storms. You need a training ground, what I call your mental dojo. This isn't a physical place you go to, but a state of consciousness you learn to access at will. Your mental dojo has 3 essential rooms. The observation deck. This is where you practice pure witnessing. You sit back mentally and watch your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without engagement, without judgment, without trying to change anything. From the observation deck, you can see the matrix's patterns without being caught in them. You notice how certain triggers lead to predictable reactions. You observe how the mind spins stories about why you should be worried, angry, or afraid. The key here is to watch with curiosity, as if you're studying an interesting phenomenon rather than being the phenomenon itself. The choice chamber. This is where you exercise your freedom muscle. Once you've observed a pattern from the observation deck, you enter the choice chamber to consciously choose a different response. The matrix's control depends on automaticity, the unconscious triggering of pre-programmed reactions. When you insert choice between trigger and response, you break the chain. The choice might be as simple as taking one breath before speaking, or as profound as choosing compassion when every cell wants to retaliate. The presence portal. This is your direct line to the timeless, formless awareness that exists before and beyond the matrix. The presence portal isn't accessed through thinking, but through feeling. Through sensing the aliveness in your hands, the air moving through your nostrils, the space between sounds. When you're in the presence portal, the matrix's dramas become like movies playing on a screen. They might be engaging, but you never forget you're watching a movie. Stabilizing in awareness requires specific, practical practices. These aren't complicated techniques, but they require consistency. Practice 1. The Gap Finder. Throughout your day, look for natural gaps in activity. The moment after you hang up the phone, before you start the car, while waiting for water to boil. In these small gaps, instead of immediately reaching for your phone or rushing to the next thing, simply rest in awareness for one breath. Feel the space around you. Notice the silence beneath the noise. These micro moments of presence accumulate throughout the day, gradually rewiring your nervous system to prefer awareness over automaticity. Practice 2. The Trigger Transformer. Identify your most reliable triggers, the things that consistently pull you into the matrix's drama. For most people, these include criticism, traffic, certain people, specific situations. Instead of avoiding these triggers, which just gives them more power, use them as alarm clocks that remind you to wake up. When triggered, say silently, "Thank you for reminding me to return to awareness." This transforms triggers from enemies into allies. Practice 3. The Sensation Sanctuary. The matrix operates primarily through thoughts. You can bypass much of its control by dropping out of your mind and into your body. Throughout the day, take sensation sanctuaries, moments where you feel the physical sensations in your hands, feet, or breath. When fully immersed in bodily sensation, the mind's chatter naturally quietens. You can't be lost in anxious thoughts about tomorrow while fully feeling the warmth of water on your hands today. Practice 4. The Evening Replay. Before sleep, review your day not for accomplishments, but for awareness. When did you remember you were the awareness? When did you forget? Without judgment, simply notice the patterns. This nightly review trains your brain to value awareness above all else, making it more likely you'll choose awareness in the heat of the moment tomorrow. Some matrix programs are particularly stubborn. They've been reinforced for decades, perhaps across generations. These require special approaches. The Unworthiness Program. This is the matrix's foundation. It has you convinced you're not good enough, not worthy, not deserving. When this program activates, instead of fighting it with positive affirmations, which often creates internal conflict, meet it with radical compassion. Say to yourself, "This is the unworthiness program running." It's not truth. It's conditioning. Then feel the physical sensations of unworthiness with kindness, as you would comfort a frightened child. The Control Program. This has you believing you need to manage everything and everyone. When you notice yourself trying to control, say, "I release the illusion of control. I trust the intelligence of life." Then take one small action that demonstrates trust, perhaps delaying a decision or allowing someone to do something their way. The Busyness Program. This keeps you so occupied with doing that you never have space for being. When you find yourself frantically busy, ask, What am I avoiding by staying so busy? Then consciously insert moments of doing nothing throughout your day. Strange as it sounds, freedom can feel uncomfortable at first. The Matrix's predictability, though limiting, provides a sense of security. Awareness, in its vast openness, can feel disorienting. You might experience what I call freedom vertigo, the dizzying sensation of realizing how much choice you actually have. The Matrix had you convinced your options were limited. Awareness reveals infinite possibilities, and this can be overwhelming. You might also feel grief for the time lost in the trance. This is natural. Allow the grief without getting stuck in it. Each tear shed for lost time waters the seeds of present moment presence. There might be loneliness as you outgrow relationships based on matrix agreements. When you stop playing the roles others expect, some people will withdraw. This creates space for relationships based on authentic connection rather than mutual programming. As you stabilize in awareness, the matrix will deploy more sophisticated countermeasures. Recognizing these is half the battle. The spiritual ego, this is perhaps the most insidious counterattack. The matrix will try to convince you that you're more awake than others, that you've figured it out, that you're spiritually superior. This is just the identity program wearing new clothes. The moment you believe you're enlightened, you're not. The bypassing temptation. The matrix might encourage you to use awareness to avoid legitimate human emotions and challenges. I'm too awake to feel anger. I'm too conscious to deal with money. True awareness includes everything. It doesn't exclude the messy human experience. The isolation strategy. The matrix may tempt you to withdraw from the world entirely. If I just meditate enough, I'll transcend all this. But awareness is meant to be brought into the world, not used to escape it. Your dreams are a powerful arena for practicing awareness and exposing matrix programs. Before sleep, set the intention to recognize when you're dreaming. When you notice you're dreaming, practice shifting from content, the dream story, to context, the awareness that's dreaming. This dream practice strengthens your awareness muscle and reveals how reality itself is dreamlike. The same awareness that can recognize a night dream can recognize the waking dream. Many people find that as they stabilize in awareness during the day, they naturally become more lucid in their dreams at night. Your body is your anchor in awareness. When you're lost in mental stories, your body is always here. Now, learning to listen to your body's wisdom is crucial for stabilization. Practice feeling the aliveness in your hands while having difficult conversations. Notice the sensation of your feet on the ground while waiting in line. Feel your breath moving while checking email. These simple somatic practices keep you tethered to reality when the mind wants to pull you into matrix dramas. Your body also stores matrix programs as tension, posture patterns, and chronic discomfort. As you stabilize in awareness, you might notice previously unconscious physical tensions surfacing. Meet these with curiosity and kindness rather than resistance. How do you know you're stabilizing in awareness? Look for these subtle signs. Problems that once triggered days of suffering now pass through like weather. You still feel them, but they don't define you. You catch yourself more quickly when you've been pulled into the matrix. The time between identification and recognition shortens. You naturally gravitate toward people, places, and activities that support awareness, and feel discomfort around what reinforces the trance. You find yourself responding rather than reacting more often. There's space between what happens and what you do. You've tasted freedom. You've begun stabilizing in awareness. But now comes the real test. Can you bring this awakened consciousness back into the marketplace? Can you navigate traffic jams, difficult conversations, workplace politics, and family drama without getting pulled back into the matrix's trance? This is where many awakening journeys stall. It's one thing to feel peaceful during meditation, quite another to maintain that peace when your teenager is screaming, your boss is demanding, and your bank account is dwindling. The matrix doesn't mind if you're spiritually awakened on the cushion. It only cares if you bring that awakening off the cushion and into the world where it can actually change things. Think of yourself as an undercover agent returning to enemy territory. You now know the truth of who you are, but you're operating in a world that's still asleep. Your mission isn't to blow your cover and announce your awakening to everyone. It's to operate with such profound presence and authenticity that you naturally disrupt the matrix's patterns wherever you go, creating openings for others to wake up to. The most radical spiritual work doesn't happen in caves or monasteries. It happens in supermarkets, boardrooms, school pickup lines, and family dinner tables. It happens in the messy, complicated, beautiful chaos of human relationship. This is where the rubber of awakening meets the road of reality. When you engage others from awareness rather than programming, every relationship becomes a spiritual practice. With partners, the matrix wants romantic relationships to be transactional. I'll meet your needs if you meet mine. From awareness, relationship becomes a dance of two free beings choosing to share the journey. Instead of demanding your partner change to make you happy, you take responsibility for your own happiness while celebrating theirs. Instead of using your partner to complete you, you recognize your inherent completeness and share from overflow. With children, the matrix wants you to program your children with the same limitations you inherited. From awareness, parenting becomes about creating a safe space for unique souls to unfold. You stop seeing your children as extensions of yourself and start honoring them as their own beings. You guide without controlling, protect without smothering, love without clinging. With colleagues, the matrix thrives on workplace drama, competition, and office politics. From awareness, work becomes an opportunity for conscious collaboration. You see beyond job titles to the essential humanity in everyone. You contribute without needing credit, lead without needing followers, succeed without needing others to fail. With difficult people, the matrix wants you to see difficult people as problems to be avoided or defeated. From awareness, difficult people become your greatest teachers. They show you where you're still reactive, where you're still identified, where you still need to heal. Instead of trying to change them, you thank them for revealing your remaining attachments. The matrix controls through language. Most communication is unconscious, automatic reactions, rehearsed scripts, hidden agendas. When you communicate from awareness, every conversation becomes an opportunity for authentic connection. Listening from awareness. Most people don't truly listen, they just wait for their turn to speak. When you listen from awareness, you're fully present with the other person, hearing not just their words but the energy behind them. You listen to understand rather than to respond. This quality of listening is so rare that it often disarms people, creating space for real communication to occur. Speaking from presence. Instead of speaking from memory, repeating old stories, or from reaction, responding automatically, You learn to pause and speak from the freshness of the present moment. Your words become authentic expressions of what's true now rather than repetitions of what was true then. The power of silence. The matrix fears silence. It needs constant noise to maintain its hold. From awareness, you become comfortable with silence in conversations. You don't rush to fill every gap. You understand that the space between words is often where real understanding occurs. Conscious conflict. The matrix wants conflict to be about winning and losing. From awareness, conflict becomes an opportunity for deeper understanding and connection. You learn to disagree without disconnecting, to stand your ground without needing the other to fall. The matrix has turned work into either a necessary evil or an identity trap. From awareness, work becomes sacred service. Not what you do, but how you do it. Beyond the grind. The matrix wants you to see work as a grind, something you endure to earn the right to live. From awareness, work becomes an expression of your unique gifts in service to the whole. It's not about finding your passion as much as bringing passion to whatever you're doing. Success reimagined. The matrix defines success externally: money, status, achievements. From awareness, success becomes internal: alignment, integrity, presence. You still pursue external goals, but they're no longer the measure of your worth. Handling pressure. The matrix uses pressure to trigger unconscious reactions. From awareness, pressure becomes a call to greater presence. Instead of collapsing under deadlines or expectations, you use them as reminders to breathe deeper, focus clearer, and act more deliberately. Leadership from awareness. The matrix promotes leadership based on control and manipulation. From awareness, leadership becomes about creating conditions for others to awaken to their own power. You lead by example, by inspiration, by creating space for greatness to emerge in others. The matrix's most sophisticated control system is digital technology. Social media, news feeds, entertainment, all designed to keep you distracted, identified, and reactive. Conscious consumption. From awareness, you become intentional about what you consume digitally. You notice how different content affects your energy and choose accordingly. You're not against technology, but you're for conscious relationship with it. Social media from presence. The matrix uses social media to fuel comparison, insecurity, and artificial connection. From awareness, you use social media as a tool for authentic expression and genuine connection. You share from overflow rather than from neediness. You engage with others' content from curiosity rather than judgment. Information diet. The matrix feeds on your attention. From awareness, you become the gatekeeper of your attention. You recognize that what you focus on grows, so you choose your focus consciously rather than having it chosen for you by algorithms. Digital Sabbaths. The matrix wants you constantly connected. From awareness, you regularly disconnect to reconnect with yourself and real life. These digital Sabbaths aren't about deprivation, but about remembering what reality feels like without digital interference. The matrix has turned money into either a god to worship or a devil to fear. From awareness, money becomes neutral energy, a tool for creation. Beyond scarcity, the matrix depends on scarcity consciousness. From awareness, you recognize abundance as the natural state of the universe. This doesn't mean you suddenly become wealthy, but that you relate to money from trust rather than fear. Conscious earning. The matrix wants you to earn money in ways that compromise your integrity. From awareness, You align your earning with your values. You ask not just, how much can I make, but, how can I contribute? Mindful spending. The matrix uses consumerism to keep you identified and dissatisfied. From awareness, spending becomes a conscious choice rather than an automatic reaction. You buy what you truly need and value rather than what advertising tells you to want. Generosity as power. The matrix teaches you to hoard. From awareness, you understand that generosity is the ultimate power move. It demonstrates your trust in the universe's abundance. You give not from obligation but from celebration. The matrix wants you to either ignore your body or obsess over it. From awareness, your body becomes your vehicle for bringing consciousness into the world. Movement as meditation. The matrix turns exercise into another achievement to chase. From awareness, movement becomes meditation in motion. Whether you're walking, stretching, or exercising, you're fully present in your body. Eating from presence. The matrix uses food for comfort, distraction, and identity. From awareness, eating becomes a sacred act of receiving nourishment. You eat mindfully, tasting fully, grateful for the life that's becoming your life. Sensing the world. The matrix keeps you lost in thought, missing the richness of sensory experience. From awareness, you regularly drop out of your mind and into your senses, feeling the sun on your skin, hearing the subtle sounds around you, smelling the air, tasting the moment. The matrix wants you to create from ego, to prove yourself, to gain approval, to achieve fame. From awareness, creation becomes an expression of your essential nature. Beyond perfectionism, the matrix uses perfectionism to prevent you from creating. From awareness, you create for the joy of creating itself. You understand that done is better than perfect, and that the act of creating is its own reward. Authentic expression. The matrix wants you to conform, to fit in, to follow trends. From awareness, you express what's authentically true for you, whether it's popular or not. Your uniqueness becomes your gift rather than your liability. Service through creation. The matrix teaches you to create for personal gain. From awareness, you create as an act of service. Your creations become offerings to the world, contributions to the awakening of consciousness. When you engage the world from awareness, you become a walking disruption to the matrix's patterns. Your peace challenges others' drama. Your presence exposes others' distraction. Your authenticity confronts others' pretense. This isn't something you do intentionally, it's a natural consequence of being awake in a sleeping world. Your very presence creates an invitation, a possibility, a reminder of what's available to everyone. The most powerful activism isn't protesting what you're against, but embodying what you're for. The most effective teaching isn't telling people what to believe, but demonstrating what's possible. The deepest healing isn't fixing what's broken, but remembering what's already whole. You've recognized the matrix. You've stabilized in awareness. You've learned to engage the world from presence. Now we arrive at the ultimate expression of your awakening, becoming a conscious co-creator with reality itself. This is where you move from being a prisoner who escaped to being an architect who designs. The matrix wants you to believe you're separate from the creative intelligence of the universe, that you're a tiny, powerless speck in a mechanical world. But the truth your awakening has revealed is far more magnificent. You are the universe becoming aware of itself. You are reality's way of knowing itself. And when you operate from this recognition, You don't just navigate reality, you participate in its ongoing creation. Think of everything we've explored so far as clearing the ground for this final step. You've pulled out the weeds of identification, leveled the soil of reactivity, and now you're ready to build something entirely new. Not from the Matrix's blueprint of lack, competition, and separation, but from awareness's template of wholeness, collaboration, and unity. This isn't about gaining new powers. It's about recognizing the power you've always had but were taught to ignore. The Matrix didn't take your power away. It convinced you to give it away. Now you're taking it back. And you're not taking it back for yourself alone, but for the sake of all beings who are still dreaming they're powerless. Conscious co-creation operates on principles that are the exact opposite of the Matrix's manipulation-based systems. Principle 1. Alignment over effort. The Matrix taught you that creation requires struggle, force, and relentless effort. Co-creation understands that when you're aligned with universal intelligence, creation happens through you, not by you. It feels more like being played by life than playing life. This doesn't mean you become passive. It means your actions arise from inspiration rather than desperation, from overflow rather than lack. Principle 2. Resonance over manipulation. The Matrix uses manipulation, pushing, pulling, convincing, demanding. Co-creation works through resonance, broadcasting your essential frequency and allowing what matches to be drawn to you naturally. When you're aligned with your truth, you don't need to convince anyone of anything. Your mere presence communicates everything. Principle 3. Emergence over control. The Matrix depends on control, rigid plans, predictable outcomes, managed perceptions. Co-creation embraces emergence, allowing solutions and opportunities to arise organically from the intelligence of the whole. You provide the intention and attention, and life provides the surprising, often better than expected, forms. Principle 4. Contribution over acquisition. The Matrix measures success by what you acquire: wealth, status, possessions. Co-creation measures success by what you contribute: beauty, healing, awakening. The paradox is that when you focus on contribution, acquisition happens naturally as a byproduct of your value creation. Co-creation isn't a theory, it's a practice that transforms how you move through each day. Morning, setting your creative frequency. Before checking devices or engaging with the world, spend 10 to 15 minutes aligning with your co-creative nature. Feel yourself as the universe expressing through this particular human form. Ask, what wants to be created through me today? What beauty wants to express? What healing wants to flow? What truth wants to be spoken? Then release all attachment to how this might look and trust the intelligence of life to orchestrate the details. Throughout the day, the dance of inspired action. Co-creation requires both receptivity and action. You learn to dance between deep listening for guidance and bold movement from inspiration. When an intuitive nudge arises, to call someone, to explore an idea, to change direction, you follow it without demanding to know why. These inspired actions are the universe's way of moving your hands in the creative process. Evening, integration and appreciation. Before sleep, review your day through the lens of co-creation. When did you feel most aligned with life's creative flow? When did you resist or try to force outcomes? Appreciate the moments of synergy and learn from the moments of struggle. This nightly review trains your nervous system to prefer co-creation over control. Co-creation flows through three primary currents. Most people try to create using only one, wondering why their results feel partial or unsustainable. The personal current. This is your unique soul signature, the particular way universal intelligence wants to express through you. It's encoded in your passions, your natural talents, what makes you feel most alive. The Matrix tried to bury this current under practical concerns and realistic expectations. Co-creation requires excavating it and making it your primary creative tool. The transpersonal current. This is the intelligence of the whole expressing through you. It's the inspiration that feels like it comes from beyond you, the synchronicities that guide your path, the support that arrives unexpectedly. The Matrix taught you to dismiss this as coincidence or fantasy. Co-creation requires developing a sensitive relationship with this larger intelligence. The collective current. This is the evolutionary impulse moving through humanity itself. It's the longing for freedom, the hunger for truth, the movement toward greater love and consciousness. The Matrix tries to divert this current into consumption, distraction, and conflict. Co-creation means aligning your personal expression with this collective awakening. When these three currents flow together, your life becomes a masterpiece of divine human collaboration. You're no longer creating your personal reality, you're participating in reality's creation of itself. The path of co-creation presents unique challenges that don't exist in either purely spiritual or purely material approaches to life. The uncertainty principle. Co-creation requires operating without guarantees. You learn to trust the process more than the plan. This can feel terrifying to the mind that craves security, but liberating to the soul that craves aliveness. The surrender paradox. You must be 100% committed to your creative expression while 100% surrendered to how it manifests. This paradoxical stance prevents both passivity, life will handle everything, and control, I have to make everything happen. The timing dilemma. Co-creative timing rarely matches human scheduling. What feels like a delay is often divine preparation. What feels like a setback is often course correction. Learning to distinguish between patience and procrastination becomes a crucial skill. The integration challenge. Co-creation requires bringing spiritual awareness into material form. This means dealing with practical details, logistical challenges, and mundane realities while maintaining connection to the infinite. The sacred and the practical must learn to dance together. Just as every snowflake has a unique crystalline structure, every awakened being has a unique co-creative signature. Your particular blend of experiences, talents, perspectives, and soul qualities creates a specific way that life wants to create through you. Some people are bridges, connecting ideas, people, and realms that were previously separate. Some are healers, transforming energy wherever they go. Some are visionaries, seeing possibilities before others can imagine them. Some are stabilizers, creating foundations upon which new realities can be built. Your co-creative signature isn't better or worse than anyone else's, it's uniquely yours. The more you align with it, the more effortless and powerful your co-creation becomes. Fighting your signature to fit someone else's template creates frustration and wasted potential. Discovering your signature involves noticing. What work makes you lose track of time? What problems are you naturally good at solving? What do people consistently thank you for? When do you feel most in flow? What causes ignite your passion? Your signature is where your deepest joy meets the world's deepest need. As you stabilize in your co-creative power, you'll naturally attract other conscious creators. These relationships feel different from conventional ones. They're not based on need or dependency but on shared vision and complementary energies. In co-creative partnerships, communication happens on multiple levels simultaneously. You understand each other not just through words but through resonance, intuition, and energetic alignment. You collaborate not by consensus but by coherence, naturally moving in harmony without needing to negotiate every detail. These relationships might last for a single project or a lifetime. The duration matters less than the quality of the collaboration. What makes them sacred isn't their permanence but their presence, the way you meet each other as awake beings participating in creation together. Your personal co-creative work isn't separate from planetary evolution. As you learn to consciously create your reality, you're actually participating in humanity's collective awakening. The challenges facing our world aren't problems to be solved as much as they're creations to be transformed. The old paradigm is collapsing not because it's bad, but because it's too small for who we're becoming. Your co-creative work helps birth the new paradigm by demonstrating what's possible. This isn't about saving the world through heroic effort. It's about remembering the world through consistent presence. The most revolutionary act available to you is to become so fully yourself that your mere existence challenges the limitations of the old story. The Matrix controlled you because you didn't know there was an alternative. Now you know. The simple shift from content to context has revealed that you were never the prisoner. You were the prison guard who forgot he held the keys. You began this journey feeling controlled by invisible forces. You discovered those forces depended on your unconscious participation. You learned to withdraw your agreement. You stabilized in awareness. You brought that awareness into your relationships and work. And now you've arrived at the ultimate realization. You are reality itself, awakening to its own creative power. This isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning of your true work. The work of co-creating a world that reflects the truth of who we are. The work of demonstrating that freedom isn't something we achieve, but something we remember. The Matrix can't control you anymore because you've realized there's no one here to control. The separate self was the Matrix's greatest illusion. What remains is the infinite creativity of life itself, expressing through your unique perspective, participating in the ongoing creation of reality. You are awake, you are free, you are creation itself. Now, what will you create?